My guests, Kweku Bako, Muntaka Mubarak, Yabwa Benga Samoa, and Dominic Ayine. And okay, a couple of your messages, but let me just say, if there was an injunction actually to be sought, this from a question, if there was an injunction actually to be sought, it will not be against Parliament because the court does not injunct Parliament. So that will be about it. Let me just move straight into the cash for seats saga. We did a part one of the discussion last week, and we have just some 20 minutes to touch on the issue again. And we're going to have the two MPs, you know, deal with critical matters arising. But I'll start with Kweku Bako. And I had actually been saying that I was going to cede my seat for him to take the two guys on and let them deal with the issue. Okay, so Kweku.
Yes.
We had questions of the missing link and all, but
yes,
there are two issues you want to deal with, and then we can proceed.
Yeah, there are two things, and it's because of that strange creature called Minority Report,
yes,
which is unknown to the standing orders of Parliament, as far as I'm concerned, in my candid opinion. I would want to raise two things. I now have the Minority, well, let's just for purposes of this discussion, say Minority Report, because I feel very uncomfortable using that description. But I realize that on the issue of levy, which, because the argument is that those things are not captured in the committee's report, so it means that they were taken out. I have a problem, and I would want my brother, Mr. Ayine, who is one of the signatories, to help me in terms of the levy. Because as we know, the motion was to investigate levy and collection. I see a very strenuous effort in the Minority Report to actually exclude levy based on the fact that Muntaka abandoned that. They say he caved in to pressure. If you read the Minority Report, they themselves are saying that Muntaka caved in to pressure. So it comes then to their understanding of levy. And it worries me because Mr. Ayine's thing, see, this one, he says the first task of the committee is to inquire into whether, as a matter of fact, as opposed to law, there was a levy and collection of various sums by the Ministry of Trade and Industry. It appears this is a reformulation by the minority itself. Because see, he says, I repeat, the first task of the committee is to inquire into whether, as a matter of fact, as opposed to law, who put in that? As a matter of fact, as opposed to law, you have moved a motion in Parliament for levy and collection to be investigated. And we all know the definition of levy. But in your Minority Report, because it suits you, I'm saying you have reformulated by saying as a matter of fact, as opposed to law. I don't think that was the spirit behind the motion. But beyond that, they now come in to make a judgment in their report, which is not what is in the committee's report. So then there's a divergence. He says, see, these assertions notwithstanding, an objective assessment of the evidence on record reveals that the Ministry of Trade and Industry played a key role in getting the expatriate businesses to pay the sponsorship fees, in quotes, requested by the private sector partner, the foundation. In other words, whilst there may not be a law imposing the amount to be paid, the element of compulsion may still be lacking in the background due to the preeminent role of the ministry, preeminent role of the ministry in the entire scheme of things. It must be said that during the hearings of the committee, and this is critical, none of the expatriate business executives who attended upon the committee admitted to having been compelled to pay money. But we don't think that any member of the committee expected a rational businessman or woman operating in Ghana to make an admission that they had been forced to pay money towards an event openly supported by the government. So what was the purpose of the investigations then? If indeed the minority is inviting us to say that in actual fact, under no circumstances was any businessman going to admit this openly, then you see they are inviting us to, by all means and by force, take their interpretation or reformulation. I think that's unfair. And you want this to be captured in a committee of parliament's report,
yes,
as a fact, as conclusive, as truism. It's not fair. I don't think the quality of this, and please, I'm not talking about your competence or his professionalism, no, because you know I respect you. But the quality of this assertion or finding to be put in the report of a committee of parliament for today's generation and tomorrow's, I find it very, very difficult to accept. Let them deal with this first. There's the extortion, how they also handle the extortion. The same, you know.
Okay. So thankfully,
Maradona.
The man who was doing the definitions as to keeping them to legal definitions is here. Yes. So what's your response?
Okay. Thank you very much, Samson. And I wasn't trying to do some vulgar East Maradona, stuff there. Basically, okay. I saw the committee, and that is what, you know, it is from a legal and constitutional point of view, as a tribunal of fact. That is the function of a parliamentary committee of this nature. That is supposed to inquire into the facts surrounding a particular controversy involving government agencies, ministries, and departments. So as a tribunal of fact, when witnesses appear, they are not coming as expert witnesses to give you legal technical opinions and legal technical,
including the Controller and Accountant General.
You know, of course, the Controller and Accountant General, we called him in more or less as an expert witness to clarify the matters, not to deal with the factual issues.
Thank you.
Okay, so also thank you for that correction. So our take on the issue of levy and collection was not to pin the witness down, who is a non-expert witness, you know, to legal technical definitions that are acceptable, but to try and elicit from him what is his conception of, you know, a levy and a collection within the context of all the factual matters that transpired. Why did he think that this was a levy and a collection? Okay, and it is from there, from the understanding of the witness, that we can now assess the totality of the evidence and come to a conclusion whether there was such a levy and collection, you know, as the witness, you know, conceived, you know, or as the witness put forward before Parliament. When he was moving the motion, he did not say there was a levy in accordance with law. That's not what he said. He said no. Levy. There was no. Please, the levy and collection. All right, and he never said, you can refer to the Hansard, that he never said that this was a levy, you know, in accordance with an existing law. That's not what he said.
He moved the motion. Did they have to go into details about telling you levy according to law? When you say levy before Parliament, what are you implying?
He could have used any other word. You have sufficient time to deal with it.
I don't, you know, you have to protect me. I'm being, I'm
sorry. My mouth is sealed.
You know, so we took the view, and I was there when he moved the motion, all right, and I read the Hansard of the day before coming to the committee, okay. So I took the view, and it was supported by, my colleague James Aveji, that we needed to get an understanding of the witnesses, position on levy and collection, right? One way was to say, does his understanding conform with the law or the legal definition of levy and collection? Another way is to say, you know, the manner in which he conceptualized levy, right? Did it fit with the facts, you know, as gleaned from the evidence of the witnesses,
right?
Okay, and at the end of the day, you know, we came to the conclusion that his conception of a levy as you know, something that you must pay, money that you must pay.
Then he should have said
right?
collection. Take the levy out of the motion and say ministry has been collecting some monies. That's it.
He has
Right.
reminded,
And you see,
he has reminded me to play the role of a judge and to protect the witness.
Right.
So let me do that.
okay. So you see, and there was an attempt by the majority, all right, to say that N was used in a disjunctive sense and not in a conjunctive sense. All right. So, you know, no, it is rather the reverse.
Yes.
It's the reverse. It's the reverse. They insisted that it was used in a conjunctive sense, and then we insisted it was used in a disjunctive. You know, that it was a disjunctive N. All right. So yes, they could. For instance, you could have come to a conclusion that there was no levy, right, and still come to a conclusion that there was collection.
Yes.
Right.
But what kind of
the
collection?
majority
Under which legal regime
Right.
would you place that collection?
Under which legal regime?
The controller said that what they did was
The controller said that. The controller said that.
Yeah, they said
He said
Okay.
it wasn't public money.
no.
He said so. It was put in the public account, but not public money. I have his full transcript
He
here.
said it violated. He said it violated
No.
Regulation 14.
No.
When asked by
bring
Abedi,
it.
he said it violated Regulation
That's what
14
brought it, yes.
of the Financial Administration Regulations. Okay.
Let me show
So we were of the view that, right, the monies were monies that had to be paid, okay, by the businesses who were invited by both the ministry and the foundation, all right, and that those monies were collected, contrary and placed in a public account, contrary to the existing regulations governing, you know, I mean, the use of government accounts. Okay, so for me, there was nothing untoward about the conclusions arrived at by the minority. And in any case, Kweku has made a point that we shouldn't expect our views to have been reflected in the Hansard. I think that is wrong.
Completely.
Okay, the minority's view is an official position of elected representatives
He's misrepresenting me.
taking part.
I'm talking
Right.
of you attaching your report
Oh,
to the committee's
No,
report.
no,
It's an oddity.
No,
It doesn't happen.
Kweku,
But they can capture.
our standing
It's
orders.
an
Let me
oddity.
go back. Go to the
It's an
standing
oddity.
orders.
If you permit me, let me just remind people
Yes.
that you have said this twice.
Okay, read that and let's hear from Yao now.
At order 210.
Yes.
And remember, you three are lawyers. Each time in lawmaking, at least say in parliament, when we say a person, it also refers to group.
Yeah.
So when the standing order talks about any member, it means group of members
Yes.
can also do that.
Yeah.
So it says that any member of a committee may bring up a report for its consideration, and all such report shall be fully entered in the minutes of the proceedings of the committee.
Yes.
I did. Yes.
Yes.
So meaning that
Wait,
bring your report to the committee.
Wait.
So bring your report to the committee.
You didn't bring your report to the committee.
He did.
Thank you. Okay, so yeah, how do you respond to the questions as raised by
Let's
Kweku
focus swiftly on
and
levy because we are
responded
running
to
out
by
of time. I want to
yes,
focus on
Why do you want to
on the
only
systemic.
figure on levy?
No, levy.
Go ahead.
The people who came, who were supposed to have been levied, or denied levy, and you are inviting us to chase you to go and find some animal that may look like a levy that is lurking
Did
in
they
the
admit they have
background.
collected their paid money?
They
admitted they paid money.
Collection was not in
But
dispute.
even the second leg of the terms of reference was payments. Payments and receipts. So it was taken care of. Nobody denied that monies had been received and lodged in the public account. It was taken care of. So where this business about levy and collection, it was clearly a conjunctive. The levy and collection. That is what we're asked to investigate. The levy and collection. And if you are coming to Parliament, the floor of Parliament, Parliament deserves, particularly after a recall, to have some exactness as to what you seek. These are very experienced. This is the whole caucus bringing this to us, and they didn't know what they wanted.
Oh,
They thought it was a levy. Yes, because if you read the process, listen. For the avoidance of doubt, this I'm quoting
Muntaka Mubarak.
Yes, for the avoidance of doubt, what happened was a collection. I had collections in my motion. I would repeat that I have not said anywhere that the ministry has imposed levies. They do not have the power to do that. It is only Parliament that has the power to impose levies.
So why did you bring
Parliament? So why did you bring that word to Parliament? Why did you bring that word to Parliament?
So Dominic is saying that irrespective of this admission by Muntaka Mubarak,
get into Muntaka's head and conscience.
No, you are a trial of facts. You are a trial of facts.
Pointed to 11.
You should make the correct inference.
Correct.
And make the conclusion.
We make the inference from the witness evidence. We make the inference from the evidence that we receive.
Right.
We have over 1,300 and something pages of evidence. The people who went there, none of them say they were compelled, extorted,
not a single
beaten,
one.
Driven, whatever, lurking in the bush, compelled, nothing. They went there of their own free will. They paid money of their own free will.
Right.
So where were we supposed to find the levy? That we would assume and think that because the minority chief whip insists that there was a levy, we must find levy at all.
By all means.
Eventually, what led to your recommendation that when members of parliament have been in the public on matters, they should not be allowed to bring them back to the house for any inquiry?
Because the government was bastardized heavily with very value-laden words, and yet when the motion arrived in parliament, it was entirely different. It was said in public that the government had extorted money from expatriates. There was a press conference, 2-sheet statement, signed on behalf of the minority by the Honorable Okujetua Blakwa. Return the extorted monies to the expatriates. And the language in that press statement was done. And it was conclusive that monies had been extorted, which ought to be returned, and that Ghana had been disgraced internationally. Second, there were issues about corruption put in the public space. None of those matters turned up on the floor after the recall. When we were recalled, we were told to go and investigate the levy and collection of money and related matters. It was Parliament who established terms of reference and included a second line about payments and receipts. You understand what I'm saying? So if you believed and put it out in public that monies had been paid, monies had been extorted, it would have been fair to Parliament to come to Parliament and say, go and investigate extortion and corruption.
Okay. Too bad we ran out of time on this. But hold on, I'm coming back to you. And Dominic, what do you say about this particular recommendation?
Let me do the procedural thing. Let me do the procedural thing.
Good.
You see, this business about minority report, I shouldn't have said that. It doesn't exist. This business about a report.
It's true.
We needed to sit together. 210 is very clear. We needed to sit together for him to make his points.
That's right.
And for us to agree and disagree. And that if we disagreed, the chairman would put it in there that part of the committee disagrees with this.
And it's so.
There's nothing like that. Take my thinking and insert it directly. I wrote on the recall. I wrote on the recall. I wrote on the recall. I wrote a report on the recall. The chairman made us sit down and go through it line by line.
Okay, let's take his reaction quickly.
Okay, you see, Samson, there's too much being made of the fact that I was not available for, to meet the committee.
You were deliberately...
That is not true.
You deliberately made yourself unavailable.
That is not true. You see, it was caused by the majority members of the committee. For instance, you knew, okay, or ought to have known, that your chairman was authoring a report at the time that we had, before we had caucus, he had a report already. Okay. And that report was given to me on Wednesday evening. The Wednesday evening that I went to my chambers and was given to me. Please. Okay. And I started looking at his report. Okay. And then evaluating the evidence to see whether I agreed with him or not. Okay. So when I did mine, Thursday, I was available throughout. And the minority chief whip is here. He was the one who ensured that we met on Thursday at 4 p.m.
Yes.
At 4 p.m. was when we were. I'm coming. At 4 p.m.
given by Parliament had been exhausted.
At 4 p.m. Something. That was when order 210 would have kicked in. That would have sat together. They had the report. I also had the minority report.
We had to go from our homes into a hotel. We worked together with you Monday, Tuesday. On Wednesday, on Tuesday afternoon, and we were all giving copies of the chairman's report, which is required.
It's not true that I avoided
You took a copy of that report. I had a copy of that report. I stayed in the hotel.
No.
Worked on it.
You see, the majority leader just tried. He tried to
He
bastardize
could have come with all his positions together for us.
You see,
to go and sit somewhere, write your own report, bring it and say he said it, and bring it on
What
the
about
floor.
the chairman? What about the chairman? The chairman went and wrote his own report. He went and wrote his own report.
210 demands that the chairman should give a basis for discussion.
Thank you very
much. And he shared it to all of us.
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, gentlemen. Thank you very much, gentlemen. This has been Newsfile. My guests have been Abdul Malik Kubaku, editor-in-chief of the New Crusading Guide newspaper, Mohammed Mubarak Muntaka, MP Asawasi, Yaobwabinga Samwa, Adentan constituency, and Dr. Dominic Ayine, MP Boga East. We spoke to Professor Stephen Kwekwasari from the United States of America. And I'm Samson Ladi. And my outfit, as always, is sponsored and supplied by Latida, Be in Vogue. Have a good afternoon. Thank you.